If you're a fan of the LittleBigPlanet series, you know that these games love to reference other game franchises through its hundreds of DLC packs. Whether it's Tekken, Metal Gear Solid, or even Dark Souls. But today, I want to take a look at the opposite side of the spectrum. How many games reference LittleBigPlanet? How many games does Sackboy appear in that aren't his own? Surely there can't be that many, right? Well, you might be a bit surprised. I'm going to go through every single game that has either had a Sackboy cameo of any kind, or has at least referenced the LBP series in some way. It could be a very small Easter egg, or something major like a full-on playable character. I'll also be going through these games in release order, specifically US release order. So just know that each date may not be accurate to when LBP was actually referenced, as some references may have been added post-launch as DLC or whatever else. Before I start though, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to Chunkinator104, as he was the person that organized pretty much all of this information and allowed me to make a video out of it. So thank you. I'll leave a link to his socials down below so you can check him out. With that being said, this is the history of LittleBigPlanet references in other games. The first game on this list is Hot Shots Golf Out of Bounds for PS3, or as it's known in other regions, Everybody's Golf 5 or Everybody's Golf World Tour. While this game's release date predates LittleBigPlanet, Sackboy was eventually added as a playable golfer post-launch in March of 2009. It could be purchased in the PlayStation Store for the low price of $1.99, and in addition to Sackboy's default look, there were also several other alternate skins to pick from, all of which were based on different costumes from LBP 1. With PlayStation Home, there's quite a bit to discuss, so I'll try to keep it short. PS Home references LittleBigPlanet in many different ways. Considering it was an advertising powerhouse for Sony, that shouldn't be much of a surprise. To start things off, there was the main attraction, the LittleBigPlanet Playground, which is a public space that anybody could visit and just hang out in. It was based on many aspects of LBP1's story mode, and had a number of different LBP-themed activities to do within it. Alongside that, there was the LittleBigPlanet shop, where you can buy many different LBP-themed cosmetics, such as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies. There was also the Pod Penthouse, a custom house you could buy that was based on the LBP1 pod. And when LBP2 was first releasing, Sackboy took over the home square for a little bit in celebration of the game's launch. Lastly, PS Home had a variety of Sackboy and LBP-related items that you could earn or buy, such as LittleBigPlanet furniture and trophies, and even cute little Sackboy companions that could follow you around. There was both a regular Sackboy companion and a driving Sackboy companion from LBP Karting. There might have been a few I missed, sure, but since PS Home shut down in 2015 and not every single thing has been archived, it's pretty hard to dig up information on the game. In the puzzle game Lumines Supernova for PS3, a LittleBigPlanet themed skin can be unlocked by reaching stage 1-3 in challenge mode Advance. The theme is based off of LittleBigPlanet 1 and has the island's interactive music playing in the background. LBP sound effects are also used when placing down blocks. Ragdoll Kung Fu, as you may know, was one of the first games developed by Media Molecule, LittleBigPlanet's original developers. Okay, so a little post-edit correction, but yeah, it wasn't actually made by Media Molecule, not the we know of today, but it was created primarily by Mark Healy, who went on to co-found Media Molecule, so my bad. And in an updated version of the game on PS3 called Ragdoll Kung Fu Fists of Plastic, Sackboy was an unlockable costume that could be earned by unlocking every other reward and getting the plastic rank on every challenge. In MotorStorm Arctic Edge for the PSP, various tracks contain hidden Sackboy emblems. If you manage to take photos of all of these emblems, a pack of LittleBigPlanet themed cosmetic items would be unlocked. This game is an interesting one though, because MotorStorm Arctic Edge was actually released on both the PSP and PS2, making this the only game to ever feature LittleBigPlanet on the PlayStation 2 system. Following a post-launch update for the PS3 Zelda-like game, 3D Dot Game Heroes, Sackboy was added as a playable character. Outside of the fact that ModNation Racers for PS3 was initially advertised as the next play, create, and share title after LittleBigPlanet, A Sackboy character and LittleBigPlanet themed cart were also included with early copies of the game. On a somewhat unrelated note, LittleBigPlanet Karting, a game that came out in 2012, was also supposedly going to be a ModNation Racers sequel before shifting to a LittleBigPlanet spin-off. In the PS3 version of Worms Armageddon, there were exclusive hats based on various PlayStation franchises at the time, and one of those hats was based on Sackboy. Invizimals Shadow Zone, an augmented reality creature collecting game for the PSP, had Sackboy as one of the secret Invizimals you can collect. In order to unlock him, you had to reach level 20 in the Alliance and complete the final challenge, Guardian of the Wave. A pretty small Easter egg, but at the end of Chapter 9 in Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, a Sackboy doll can be seen hanging from the front window of the bus Nathan and the gang are driving. In Joe Danger 2 for PS Vita, Sackboy appears as a playable character wearing Joe's outfit. This Sackboy character was made available at launch alongside characters from Media Molecule's other game franchise, Tearaway. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, the infamous Smash clone Sony made back during the PS3 era. With this being a crossover fighting game of Sony's most popular franchises, of course, Sackboy would be a playable character. But in addition to Sackboy being a fighter, the game featured various LittleBigPlanet themed items, and even 2 different stages based on the series. One being a dedicated stage set in the gardens, and the other being a mashup of the Cosmos from LBP 2 and Paris from the Sly Cooper series. PlayStation All-Stars Island was a very odd PS All-Stars spin-off for mobile devices, and in it, one of the unlockable games is based on LittleBigPlanet Karting. It's literally just a butchered LBP karting on the phone where you collect Coca-Cola themed point bubbles. Yeah, very odd, like I said. But it's still pretty neat, all things considered, right? Sackboy also makes an appearance in some of the Coke Zero challenges. And if you couldn't guess already, this entire game was just one big Coca-Cola sponsorship. The pre-installed PS4 augmented reality game, the Playroom, did reference LittleBigPlanet in some way, but only from version 1.04 and onwards. After that update, Sackboy had a chance to pop out of the DualShock 4 controller in the AR Bots mode. In Tearaway, Media Molecule's new IP after LittleBigPlanet, one of the silver trophies tasks the player with taking a photo of Yellowhead, who is hidden in the desert. Yellowhead, if you didn't know, was one of the original concepts for Sackboy, and I think it's pretty cool that they reference something a bit more obscure from LBP's history, rather than just Sackboy. After the game's launch, a downloadable LittleBigPlanet pack was also released, containing 14 decorations based on the LBP series. Much like PlayStation Home, there is a lot to unpack with the LittleBigPlanet stuff seen in Minecraft. I'm not going to go over everything here, but just know, it's quite a bit. But in Minecraft PlayStation 4 edition, as well as the PS3 and PS Vita versions, there was a LittleBigPlanet mashup pack, and this included an LBP-themed texture pack that overhauled every single asset in the game, including UI elements, to be LBP-themed. And while this pack came out about 7 years ago, they are still updating this texture pack as new stuff is added to Minecraft constantly. Again, I'm not going to go through all of that here, but if you have Minecraft on PlayStation, preferably PS4 edition as it's the most up-to-date, I recommend getting this pack and checking it out for yourself. It's really cool. On top of that, the LBP Mashup Pack also includes tons of LittleBigPlanet costumes, and even a whole LittleBigPlanet world to explore. I don't keep up with many of the new Minecraft Mashup Packs they release, so I don't know how much effort they usually have, but this LBP themed one is awesome, and probably the biggest crossover in this entire video. In the PlayStation versions of Costume Quest 2, party members were able to turn into Sackboy during battle when using his costume. Exclusive to this Sackboy costume was a special move called Little Big Beatdown, which I thought was pretty funny. The Order 1886, one of Sony's lesser-known games from the PS4 generation, had a LittleBigPlanet Easter egg in one of its chapters. Partway through Chapter 3, a Sackboy doll can be found on the table inside of a building, and has a slightly different look from the one seen in LBP games, as it's more of a realistic take on the character, and represents an actual sack doll. In Hustle Kings, a Sony-developed pool game for PS4, there is an unlockable translucent cue ball with a Sackboy doll inside of it. Additionally, you can find LBP3 advertisements in the background while playing. Much like the original game, Tearaway Unfolded also had a silver trophy that can be unlocked by finding Yellowhead and taking his photo. But in addition to Yellowhead's cameo, there is a downloadable pop-up pack that includes plans for a papercraft model of Sackboy that can be printed out and constructed in real life. Exclusively to the PlayStation versions of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, Sackboy's head, along with other Sony characters' heads, can be worn on your custom-made skater. And yes, it is very, very uncanny. Despite Dreams being made by Media Molecule and practically being LittleBigPlanet's successor, LBP isn't really referenced all too much. In a recent update for the game, specifically update version 2.50, the splash screen when booting up Dreams changed with new art to look at. And in this new artwork, a drawing of Sackboy on a white box can be seen in the bottom right corner. Outside of that, the only thing I can think of was that one LittleBigPlanet recreation Media Molecule showcased on LBP1's 10th anniversary. Oh, and also the small little snippet we saw of Sackboy in one of the Dream's first trailers. None of those were technically added to the game though, so I'm not really sure if they count. Between December 1st and December 6th of 2021, a live event in Fall Guys titled Sackboy's Challenge was held where players could complete various challenges to earn Sackboy-themed rewards. These rewards included a Sackboy costume, a Knitted Knight nickname, Sackboy pattern, Sackboy banner, and Sackboy's jig emote. And while this event was limited time and seemingly your only chance to earn these items, the Sackboy costume was re-released in the Fall Guys item shop on June 1st for 4 crowns. Astro's Playroom was the free PlayStation 5 launch title that ended up being a very solid game for just a PS5 tech demo. It features a large variety of references and Easter eggs from Sony's legacy, and LittleBigPlanet is no exception. In the deep data space section of SSD Speedway, a bot can be found sitting on a small planet dotted with badges. In addition to that, Sackboy is also referenced in one of the game's gacha prizes in PlayStation Labo. And lastly, we have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. The LBP reference in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for PS5 is purely through dialogue only, and it's the only game in this list that's like that. While playing the game, you may come across several different Lombax Lorbs, which contain pre-recorded messages from a Lombax known as Mags. Mags is a Lombax explorer who has seemingly explored a number of different dimensions from well-known PlayStation franchises. And in Lorb Entry 9, Mags describes a dimension narrated by a pleasant voice where creatures made of wool can create anything. The pleasant voice part seems to reference Stephen Fry's narration in the LittleBigPlanet games, and the creatures made of wool obviously reference Sackboy. I'm not sure if this means that LittleBigPlanet is canon to the PlayStation multiverse or whatever, but hey, he was in PlayStation All-Stars, so probably, right?
Dimension 242Y8, quite possibly the cutest dimension I've ever seen. Oh, the inhabitants were all made out of wool, I think. They could literally make anything. And there was a really pleasant voice following me around everywhere. Oh, it was incredible. Oh, and what's even better? I think I'm finally close to mapping my last dimension.
But that's about everything, at least at the time of making this video. Before anybody asks though, yes, I'm aware that LittleBigPlanet has shown up in a few movies and TV shows, such as Spider-Man Homecoming, Breaking Bad, and Being Erica. But I really just wanted to focus on games for this video, and outside of those 3, I'm not sure what other LBP references exist in movies and TV shows, so comment down below if you have any ideas what else LBP is referenced in. There is no doubt that LittleBigPlanet will continue to be referenced in future games, and when it happens, I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date in a pinned comment down below. Until then, please let me know in the comments if I happen to miss any games. I'm pretty sure I didn't, like I'm 99% sure I covered every single game that Sackboy was in, but if I did miss something, I'll definitely add those in a pinned comment as well. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks again to Chunky104 for making this video possible. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Did you learn about any cool new LBP references that you didn't know about before? I know I did. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.